Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how to put together this Paw Patrol Skye cake topper. On the first digital tutorial I forgot to add the pink badge, so I'm just going to show you how to do that. Go on to Google, type Paw Patrol pink badge and click images. This is the one I'm going to select, so I drag it onto my desktop and then I'm going to use background remover to remove the background, so just drop it in there and just download. But before I drag the download, I usually delete the original so I don't get confused, and then drag the download to the desktop. So once that's downloaded, I'm going to go back to Cricut Design Space and upload the image. And there it is. Click continue. You need to click on flat graphic and then upload. So there it is. I'm just going to resize that. And then I'm going to offset. My offsets are almost always 0.06. Apply that, change to a basic cut, change the color, and then I'm just going to rearrange. Then I'm going to rearrange the images just so that it looks like the finished product. So if you drag your image and it looks like that and you want it to come forward, you just go to arrange and bring it to the front. So next I'm going to quickly show what to do to cut. I'm not going to show myself cutting. So I'm going to start off by printing the images that need to be printed. And then I'm going to arrange my cuts. So on the last video I showed you how to change the paper or material size to A4, but with this one I'm just going to show you how to arrange your images on the 12 by 12. So if your paper is A4, usually it goes up to about 8 inches, so don't exceed 8 inches if your paper is A4 size, otherwise it will not cut anything outside of the 8 inches. So here I'm just trying to save a bit of paper. So the next cut, I leave it as it is, unless I'm using a bit of paper that I've used before, then I have to arrange it around what that paper looks like. This one, I'm going to also try and save some paper. So now I'm going to send the images to the printer. So now I'm going to cut the image, and I'm going to use the Bluetooth to connect to my Cricut maker. So usually it will show up as 21 CE depending on which Cricut maker you use, but this is my one, and then it takes a little while to connect sometimes. And once it connects, it will give you the options of cardstock, and the white card I usually use is very light, so I select light cardstock. So here, because I'm using white paper, I'm going to use that same white paper to cut the bone, the white bone. So I'm just going to bring that down 5 inches because that's where the other image ended. And then again, I'm going to wait for my Bluetooth to connect and then select light cardstock again. Just a quick tip, if you're using the same paper to cut another image, just make sure you don't remove that paper from your mat. It makes things so much easier. So next we're going to cut the acetate, and I leave that as it is. The size of the acetate sheet is usually 12 by 12 anyway. So select acetate, and if you missed my last video, you can do that by going into browse materials and then you just save it as one of your favorites. Next, this is a silver cardstock. So again, I try to connect to my Bluetooth, and once it's connected, I select medium cardstock. And then obviously I have to cancel it because I'm not actually cutting. I've already cut my material. And next is the pink. So with this light pink, I did try to connect to my Bluetooth, but Cricut Design Space is so temperamental. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't. So I had to connect my USB, and that's why it says Maker 0 USB. I will then use medium cardstock selection, and then it should cut. On this one, I used my USB again. and I also select medium cardstock. And then we come to the putting together of all my cutout pieces. And I'm going to use the double-sided padded tape, the glue pen, and just a normal pair of scissors because I still can't find my crafting scissors, my glitter pots, and I also use the glue gun, and then I have some balloon lights just to attach to the back. As you can see, I've arranged everything as they would go on the final product. It makes everything so much easier. And then I'm just going to start putting the cake topper together. So in the last video I was talking a little bit about how I've been struggling with Etsy. Nothing has really changed. It's probably worse than it was the last time. I'm probably getting one sale every 2 weeks or something like that, but it's fine. eBay's okay, but nothing to write home about. I think I touched a little bit on the do's and don'ts when it comes to Etsy, and I finished up where I was saying that you need to be careful of your customers because they will be very demanding, and when it doesn't go their way, you will have to give them a refund. So I had this one customer who begged me to make her a customized cake topper. So when I say the word customized, I actually mean they want something that is not available on my shop. So this customer wanted a Cricut themed cupcake topper and also some Arsenal cupcake toppers, which I did have. I just didn't have the Cricut theme. Now, she came very late, so she came on Monday and needed it for Wednesday. I actually have a full-time government job, so when customers message me, I usually say, hi, I'll start working on it tonight, but just be aware you're cutting it fine and it may not reach you on time because it's very, very late. 2 days is very, very late. And she was like, oh, that's fine, I understand. And then I proceeded to make the product. I did say to her that anything that happens after your cake topper is sent is no longer my issue. I cannot take responsibility because I've handled my side of the bargain. She was adamant she still wanted it. I made it on Monday, sent it on Tuesday via every next day delivery. Now, if you're from the UK, you know every can be very unreliable, and they will say they came to your house when they didn't. But in my experience with using them as, how do I put it, as the person sending out, I find them more reliable than the Royal Mail and cheaper, because Royal Mail, if you're tracking and it's next day delivery, special delivery, it's about £10. Every, it's about £3.29, and it usually gets there on time. But of course, with my luck, it didn't. So she messages me on the Wednesday, still hasn't come. I was like, I've checked and it's at the delivery hub. It was just a big palaver. We went the rest of the week. This package was still sat at the delivery hub. Something that we had paid next day delivery for. Then on Sunday, I get a dispute, and Etsy take their disputes very seriously. You have to respond within 24 hours or they give the customer their money back. So I get this dispute and the heading is item not received. And I was absolutely livid because I told you this may happen. And I also told you if it does happen, it's not my problem because I've done my bit. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. And imagine buying something from ASOS, H&M, and it doesn't arrive. You will get your money back. But unfortunately for us, if you're part of this small business crew, it's not fair because you're just one person trying to earn a little bit more because the government are stealing all the money. And then there's people that know that Etsy or whatever platform you're selling from will give them their money back. So they disregard the fact that it's a small business, which is fair. I do understand. But at the same time, if you've been told, you need to kind of make that decision that, hold on, maybe it might not come. And I need to just find something else or think of other ways to make your cakes look nice. And I do get it. Sometimes it's their customer that comes to them late. But that's why when I started baking, I said to myself, I'm not going to rely on other people to make my cake toppers. And I'm just going to learn how to make it myself. As soon as I get an order, the first thing I do is make my cake topper. And it works out so much easier and better for me because I'm not sitting there. And I know how it is with Etsy. Etsy can take weeks and weeks to come. Even though there's a date, an estimated date, it's the same with eBay. Things can go wrong. So anyway, back to the lady. So she put out this dispute and I had to respond, and I gave her a very stern reply, and I might actually read it. So in her note to seller, it said, as per our correspondence, could you kindly issue a refund for this as it was not delivered in the agreed upon timescale. I'm reading word for word, by the way. So I said, hi. 1, I fulfilled my part of the order. 2, I rushed and left orders from customers that had ordered before you in order to help you with a rush order. 3, I am running a very small business. If I give you a refund, what would I have gained from using my materials and putting together an item for you within 24 hours from your request? But you know what? Once you receive the item, return it back to me and I'll give you a refund. 4, the time I sent out your order was way before the time that it was even meant to be sent out. 5, if you look at the tracking number that I sent to you, you will see that I sent it out via next day delivery the very day you paid, and I should not be held liable for anything after that. 6, you can see from the tracking that it's the service on their end that has failed you. Customers like you can make me regret going out of my way to help. You can clearly see that it is not my fault, but you still try to get a full refund from me. I blame myself for trying to help. You've just messed it up for other customers, and I will never make this mistake again. So after that, she replied, "Hiya, please don't worry. I really didn't mean to cause you any stress, so ignore my refund request. Thanks for your help." And this is what I mean about those customers. It might sound that I was a bit harsh, but I was just really upset because I went out of my way. If it was just a normal customer, I would have been a bit more like, okay, fine. But you came 2 days actually before your cake order, and I rushed, and like I said, I put her before other customers, which I will never do again. And the fact that she agreed when I did say I'm no longer liable after this, and then went to open a dispute, she didn't even come to me. If she came, it would be much different, because then it's not going through Etsy and I could just say, you know what, here's your money back, because I have to give her a refund apparently. And Etsy sellers are just regular people just trying to make a little bit extra on the side, but customers don't think like that. So my tip to everybody is, don't go out of your way for these customers, because when it goes left, they're not going to consider the fact that you tried to help them. I'm going to go back to the cake topper. So with this part, I suggest you use tweezers. I used my fingers because 1, I can't find my tweezers. 2, I find it quite easy doing it this way. But for the sake of the video, I would have used the tweezers. Back to Etsy. If you're a new seller especially, it will always seem as if you want to do everything and help everyone, and it will be kind of money motivated. But as I said in my last video, it's money you never had in the first place. So you need to do what works for you, what makes you comfortable. Don't just take orders just because they're there. It's going to reflect on your account, and it's going to be a problem because you're the one that's going to have to deal with all the stress, and you will lose that money when you have to refund it back to customers. I had to learn the hard way when it comes to customers. I still get customers come, sometimes they come the day before, and I don't think they grasp the fact that these are handmade and they're not just sitting there waiting to be purchased. Or you get the customer that will say on maybe Friday, and they'll tell you that they need it for Tuesday, but it's bank holiday on Monday. You just have to tell them no. If you do not want headache, be prepared to tell these customers no. You can put it in the nicest way, and you're not obligated to respond after the first interaction anyway. Otherwise, then you just seem like you're going back and forth with them. So once I tell them no, and they may say, oh, but I'll come and pick it up, and then you could just reply, oh no, unfortunately I don't do pickups, and that will be the end of that. They may reply to you, but it doesn't reflect on you if you've already replied. to the first one, because Etsy monitor how fast you reply to your customers as well. I'm telling you, it's such a tricky world with Etsy. Everything goes, all these little factors, sorry, will go into your rating, not just what the customers rate you as. So with the acetate, I have to cut little strips from the padded tape, because like I said, in the UK, well, in London, I can't find thin padded tapes. They're all like thick, or the thin ones are too flat, so it will not give that 3D effect. And it's really difficult to cut that from the tape, but this is the only option. So if you're watching from America or somewhere where there are loads of craft shops, you will probably find something better, but this is what I have to do because I'm in London. So yeah, you just stick the cutout pieces all around the rim of the acetate. And then just make sure you expose the sticky part before you add the glitter, otherwise it will go everywhere. Like in my last video, I forgot, and then the glitter was just jumping around. So take this off, and then apply your glitter. So with the glitter, a little bit goes a long way. I kind of used more than I should have, but that's fine. And I mixed 2 different types. And then just carefully apply the other cutout acetate sheet. And make sure that it's stuck on. Otherwise your glitter will just fall out. And then now just use the glue pen and this is another part, you should really be using the tweezers. So the last part, I'm just going to arrange and make sure I have enough space for all the bits. And then I use the double-sided tape again just to stick. With the 5, I stick onto the base first. Usually you'll see with the rest of them that I stuck onto the piece that's getting stuck on. But with this one, it's just because of the positioning, I like to stick it onto the base. And then I just stick the rest of them on.
Je cherche un homme, un Pierre au Paul, un Jacques au Tom.
So now I'm going to use my glue gun just for the acrylic stick. And I said in my last video, if you're using the glue gun, just be careful with your packaging. If this isn't just for personal use, if you're sending it out there, make sure your packaging is the type that won't bend. Otherwise, this method, the acrylic stick will come away. So just secure your packaging properly. I'm going to use the glue gun again for my balloon lights. And we've come to the end of the video. And this is the final product. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope it was helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe. And I'm going to try and be more consistent with my posting. Thank you for watching. Bye.